chief to send his own son for that, but Fatty replies that his son Pell is quite timid and won't be able to satisfy the Baron. The chief says that Alan will have to keep the Baron entertained throughout his stay in the village, and Alan doesn't think that he wants to do it. However, on second thought, he realizes that he can use this chance to impress the Baron with his wit and skills, and that can help him become a commoner faster than hunting albahirons and giant boars. Even though it is a far-fetched chance, Alan agrees to the chief's request of guiding the Baron. Soon after that, Baron Granvelle arrives at the village along with the Night Order led by Captain Zenoff. The village chief welcomes the Baron, who has brought his daughter Cecily along with him. They visit the chief's house where Alan is working as a temporary servant. Granvelle praises the chief's hard work in maintaining a successful village. He says that in the past 15 years, there hasn't been a more successful village than their Krina village. The village chief humbly accepts the praise, and then Granvelle apologizes for asking for more boar meat each year. He says that he knew he was placing extra burden on the villagers for that, but he could not disobey an order from the king himself. He suddenly grows furious and says that this is all the fault of Viscount Carnal, who deliberately brought the boar hunts to the king's attention while they were meeting him just so that he could put them in a tough spot. His butler tells him to chill out a bit because his anger is scaring the village chief. And just then, food is brought to the table to ease everyone's mind. As Granvelle and his daughter take a bite from it, they are delighted by its delicious taste and immediately ask the chief what kind of meat is it. He hesitates to give them an answer, and Alan jumps in at this point, explaining that it is a dish made from albahiron meat, and the bird on his plate was hunted just yesterday to give him the freshest taste. He explains more silly details about the dish, and the Baron is impressed by his confidence and clarity. He asks the chief if this is his son, and he replies that the boy is Rodden's son. Zenoff remembers seeing him the last time he was in the village as well, and Alan greets him, saying that he will be their guide for the hunting trip the next day. Granvelle is impressed once again by Alan's manners and asks if his father is a knight. The chief replies that Alan's dad is a serf, and that irritates Granvelle's spoiled daughter, Cecil, who asks the chief how dare he let a serf in the dining hall with them. Her dad immediately scolds her, reminding her that serfs are members of their territory too, and she can't treat them like they are less than humans. Cecil immediately apologizes to her dad before giving a stink eye to Alan, who doesn't really take her seriously. After that, Zenoff tells Alan that they are looking forward to learning the details of the hunt tomorrow. He says that the goal of hunting 20 boars in one winter is too much, and if the villagers can't handle it, the knights will take over. Cecil agrees with him and says that it would be so cool to see the knights hunting the boars instead of some stupid villagers. The Baron also thinks that is a good idea and says that once the knights learn the basics, they can take over the job. Suddenly, Alan speaks up to save the dignity of his village and says that the knights won't be needed because the villagers can easily hunt 20 boars on their own. He decides to bet the village's aura and tells everyone that their performance tomorrow will clear all doubts. The next day, the entire entourage heads to the woods to observe the boar hunt, and Alan leads them to a watchtower built specifically to let them experience the hunt without being in danger. Cecil still doesn't talk to him without sneering at him, but once everyone has reached the observation spot, Alan begins guiding them step by step through the hunt. Soon, Rodden and the serfs arrive there, dressed in armor made from boar hide. Alan thanks the Baron for granting them permission to use the leftover boar hide to make armors on behalf of everyone. After that, the decoy unit rushes to find and lure the boar behind them, and Alan tells everyone to be patient because this process takes a lot of time. While they are waiting, Zenoff asks Alan about Krina, and he replies that she is doing great. Zenoff is glad to hear that and says that a tutor will be sent here after the spring to prepare her for the academy entrance exam. As Alan is giggling imagining Krina studying, the decoy team leads the boar to the hunting ground, and the tank team uses huge sturdy shields to trap them in. After that, the main attackers head towards the boar's head to stab it. And next, the newbies attack it from behind using long spears. Alan explains how the newbies attack only once or twice to get experience, and they are not usually given armor because the risk to them is minimal. Cecil begins to get nauseous on seeing the boar getting stabbed repeatedly, and as Rodden deals the finishing blow to its neck, she collapses. Both Zenoff and Granvelle are thoroughly impressed by the skills of the villagers and decide to leave the boar hunting to them entirely when suddenly, 2 more boars come rushing towards them. Zenoff immediately tells his vice captain to get the knights ready to assist the villagers, but Alan tells them that there is no need for that because the villagers are prepared for such incidents. On the ground, Rodden tells everyone to follow him and Gerda into 2 groups, and they use their same strategy to pin the boars and hunt them. Alan tells the Baron and Zinnoff that every hunter worth their salt knows they should hunt all the prey they bait, because if they let any prey get away, they are a shitty hunter. However, he knows that it was not possible before this year, mainly because the villagers lacked good equipment. Most of the products from the hunt went into taxes, so they couldn't afford to upgrade their tools. However, they somehow saved enough to upgrade their spears a bit each year, and that gradual increase let them become a lot more efficient over the years. With last year's armor, they are now strong enough to form 2 teams and defeat 2 boars at the same time. And Alan is relieved that the gamble he took on his village's aura paid off. Granvelle says that with 3 boars hunted, that leaves only 17 more for this year, but Alan corrects him, saying that they already hunted 7 boars before he came here, so only 10 more are left. Granvelle is pleased to hear that and says that they don't need to dispatch knights to help the villagers. Alan replies that his father and others will be pleased to hear that, and after that, he says they have 2 requests to make of him. The first request is to have enough boar hide to make 2 more giant shields to hunt more boars, and the Lord gladly agrees to that. The second request, however, is a bit tricky, because Alan says they need items that are not usually available to serfs, especially liquor. Granvelle doesn't understand the need for that, and Alan explains that as they hunt more boars each year, the villagers will have a surplus of meat that will lose its value. That is why he wants the serfs to trade it for booze to prevent the economy from crashing. Granvelle asks why he is asking for liquor specifically, and Alan turns to Zinnoff, saying that as a warrior, he will understand. The knight captain remarks that nothing works better than alcohol to keep the morale of warriors high, and he tells the Baron the request makes sense. Granvelle agrees to both the requests and then praises Alan for the great job he did today. But Cecil is not happy that someone else is getting her daddy's attention. She curses Alan while heading back home, but almost falls from the horseback in doing that. Alan is glad to see her go away and thinks that he will never have to see her again. Well, he gets to meet her and Granvelle the very next day, because the Baron wants to reward the people who supply him with delicious meat each year. Alan gets excited, hoping that they get promoted to commoner status, and he gets exactly that. Granvelle declares that Rodden, Gerda and their families will now be promoted to commoner status. Everyone bows down to thank the Baron, and Alan can barely contain his excitement. He thinks that now he can go outside the village borders and hunt bigger and more powerful monsters. Granvelle then declares that any serf who has taken part in the hunts for 10 years or longer will also be promoted to a commoner, and asks Rodden and Gerda to prepare a list. On that note, he remembers that the king wanted to promote the Krina village as an example for all villages throughout the kingdom, and he was curious about how the boar hunt started. Rodden gets a bit sour-faced on hearing that Gerda says that the story is a bit personal to his best friend, so he will tell it in his place. He says that 13 years ago, when the work to build this village first began, about 100 serfs came from other villages to populate it. After months of hard work, they managed to clear a sizable area and grow crops on it. But one winter, a great boar attacked them, eating most of their saved food. The serfs were devastated, and then Rodden stepped up, suggesting that they hunt the boar for meat. The serfs followed him into battle without proper weapons or knowledge, but with just their farming equipment, they managed to take down a boar. Granvelle says that they should be proud of themselves on this, and asks why does it bother Rodden so much. Gerda explains that they lost one of their friends in the hunt, who was not lucky enough to level up and have his injuries healed. Gerda says that he has tried to convince Rodden again and again to not blame himself for it, but he doesn't stop doing it. Alan now understands why his dad rushed to save the stupid commoner last year. Granvelle also apologizes for bringing up this topic, but then tells Rodden that the village would not have reached this point if he had not initiated the first boar hunt. He decides to reward him for that and asks him what he wants. Alan urges his dad to ask for some quality booze, but instead, Rodden requests the Baron to let his son work at his estate. He says that Alan is wise and brave, and he can do any job an adult can do. Alan panics on hearing this because this way he won't be able to hunt monsters and level up. But Granvelle likes the idea. Even his butler agrees that Alan will be a great addition to their staff, and then Granvelle declares that he is too good to be just a regular hallboy, so he will be a manservant of his family instead. Alan doesn't even know what that post signifies, but Cecil is grossed out that a serf is going to live with them in their mansion. The butler confuses her racist brain by reminding her that Alan is now a commoner, but he is busy thinking of an excuse to get out of this situation. However, as he sees his father crying tears of joy on getting this opportunity for him, Alan accepts his fate. Soon, he gets ready to leave for the Baron's estate, and everyone gathers to bid him goodbye. Krina is really sad to go, and Alan decides to cheer her up with a final duel. She gladly agrees to that, but as the duel begins, Alan gets the upper hand. Everyone is surprised to see this, especially Krina, and the reason behind this is Alan stocking up on bird cards that boost his agility. He manages to overwhelm Krina and point the sword at her neck. She can't believe that she lost, but Alan tells her that it was a draw, and they can settle their fight when they meet in the future. After that, he says goodbye to his siblings as well as Gerda and Matilda. Dagora and Pell are also watching them from across the fence, and Pell kicks the axe user in the butt to send him over to say goodbye to Alan. Dagora has brought a small dagger